Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It is the Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com, 844-551-8255. I was thinking about it the other day. We don't do a whole lot of commercialization on this show. I don't talk about my books. I don't talk about my TV appearances. I don't talk about where I'm going to be speaking. I don't solicit for, and we need to do more of that. I'm just saying. Anyway, I'm glad you guys are here. A couple things that we didn't get to yesterday, and I'm going to try to get to them today. That would be Chicago killings and what else? Oh, NFL numbers. So we'll try to delve into that. They become mainstays of the program. We know, after Monday night, Sunday night, the football games and Monday night, football numbers are going to be down. How far down are they, Kevin? Well, I don't know, but they are down. Stadiums emptying. Love it, love it, love it. Anytime you buck the Americans, the true Americans, you folks listening to this program, you will be made to pay. And that's exactly what's happening right now. And I love this. I love it because you know why? This is the best time. Think about all the liberals are doing. They're fighting you, fighting us, just trying to keep their head above water because they've been on one of those little those inflatables in the pool, just waiting for us to bring them mint juleps all for the last few decades. And suddenly they've been toppled over into a boiling ocean trying to keep their head above water because they've got scandals. We're looking into everything. Why? Because they have been running roughshod over us in the con game. And that's our theme for today, the con game. Thomas Sowell said this: the welfare state is the oldest con game in the world. First, you take people's money quietly, and then you give some of it back to them flamboyantly. Now, Thomas Sowell is one of my idols. This man is a sage. The fact that 99.9% of black people don't know him like Muhammad Ali is sacrilegious, and 100% of white folks. But let me tell you what he just said. What he said was a much more eloquent way of what I say, which is you're being pimped. You're being conned. See, here's what a pimp does. A pimp puts you out on the street, befriends you, puts you out on the street after he whoops your head, says, go make me some money. You go make him some money. You bring it back. And then he goes and buys you something. Or he gives you a little chump change to make you think that everything's good. Then he says, oh, way to go, baby. You went out there and made daddy some money. and so you're all happy because he beat you up and sent you out. And when you come back, he's all, lovey-dovey because you're handing over the money, handing over the goodies. That's right, because your goodies been out there making him money all day. The government does that. They're like, hey, go out there, make me some money. And then you go and you give, here's the money, Mr. Government. And then the government goes, all right, tax time, I give you a little bit of it back. And you're all happy. Yeah, look at me, I'm getting my tax refund. I love how people, they get all jubilant over getting their tax refund. It cracks me up. I'll tell you why. Because you're getting your own money back. It's like people that go, I'm getting a rebate on my little electronic device. I go, congratulations, you're getting your money back. Woo, I'm using a coupon. Look, I'm not trying to belittle people that do it. Good for you. I mean, the ones that do it and can do it to the hilt really make out. But the idea that you're getting something back, that you're really getting over, that's the thing we love. We love this idea that, ooh, yeah, I'm in a loyalty program and I got my free Starbucks coffee. Yeah, I finally got my free one. Yeah, Starbucks. Yeah, I showed you. And Starbucks is going, yeah, you're paying $5 for a 20-cent cup of coffee. And after 15 of them, after I've made $75 and spent, $3, you spent $3, and my cost is $3. I've made $75. I give you 20 cents. And you're going, yeah, showing them, look at that. But that's how that's the con game. And it's a psychological, it is so cool. It is deviously cool. The psychology of government. The psychology of leftism. As I said, if we had given these leftists enough time and enough rope, they were going to hang us. Because they will tell you that the ridiculous is what you should accept. And they do it every single day, folks. The ridiculousness of feminism that will allow one of their own men, not one, many, but I'm thinking of Weinstein, to openly sexually abuse women. Look, don't blame Weinstein. Hollywood openly sexually abuses people. Openly. There's no secret to it. You want another example? Academia. You send your kids to school. Professors, do I really need to explain this to you? Professors are sleeping with your girls and boys. And then holding their futures over their head. You better do this or you're not going to get that A. And instead of firing the professors, what do? They give them tenure. They say, no. Oh, no, Dr. So-and-so is amazing, and we've got to keep them around. Yeah, so they can molest more people. It is known. Hollywood themselves write about this. I watched, what's it called? How to Get Away with Murder. The lady's husband is a professor, and she knows he's sleeping with his students. I'm talking about the main woman of the show. So Hollywood knows it. Hollywood knows about itself. But they want you to think you're stupid. See, that's the con. The con is, what are you talking about? It's you, Kevin, you know, we all know about it. Why are you blaming us? But you do it in your corporation. You do anything that Hollywood or academia does in your company, and you will rot in jail. But they still say to you, well, what's the big deal? And you go, but wait a minute, you're applying it to me over here, but you're not applying it to yourself. And they're like, yeah, so what? And you're going, but that doesn't make any sense. And they're like, what are you talking about? It doesn't make any sense. We get away with it. You don't. What part of this do you not understand? And you're going, well, that I don't get away with. Look at you. Look at you wanting to get away with something. And you're going, wait a minute. That's not what I mean. The real issue here is, how are you getting away? Oh, don't go there. Anyway, we got a lot to talk about. The con game. That's what's going on, baby. You're getting conned. And you're listening to this program because I exposed the con. I tell you where the card is in 3-Card Monte. We'll be back, folks.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. How you guys doing? Still eating that Thanksgiving leftovers? Thanksgiving leftovers are good. That's the one thing about Thanksgiving stuff is it's a tradition, so you know what to do. So let me tell you what we would do when my grandmother was alive. So she'd make the big bird and all that, and we'd eat big Thanksgiving dinner. I mean, huge Thanksgiving dinner. Pies, cakes, and generally we celebrated with family. So we migrated from somebody's house to the next house, depending upon who'd had hosted it the year before, whatever. So my grandmother, when she would have it, man, it would be huge. I mean, and people loved coming to the ranch because once Thanksgiving was over, we could just go out in the pasture and play football, basketball, you name it. I mean, we had an old rinky-dink goal. Believe me, it's funny. I showed my son what I played basketball on, and he was like, "That's what you play basketball on?" It was, a basketball rim nailed on a piece of plywood that was sloped. We didn't even have it straight. My grandfather didn't even put it up straight. He probably let me do it, if I'm remembering correctly. But we would go, it was a blast. So people would love to do, so we'd go fishing or in most cases hunting because it was too cold to fish, but we'd go hunting afterwards and things like that. It was such a great thing, but I loved it. But here's what I really loved. I loved the leftovers because my grandmother knew how to get that turkey. She'd end up making a turkey hash, and we would eat turkey and waffles. I know people eat chicken and waffles, but we would eat turkey and waffles, and they were delicious. But she reconstituted whatever was left. And honestly, it was better the second time around because we had greens and the veggies were, we always had turkey, but the veggies were what blew me away. Corn casserole. She used to make this corn casserole where my grandfather would cut off barely cut off the ends of the corn, on a corn cob when it was cooked. And then he would scrape it down and get the corn juice. And then my grandmother would put some breading and some other stuff in there and make a corn casserole that was unbelievable. It was delish. My mouth is watering as I think about it. Oh, man. Love those days. And I love so much about growing up in a conservative way. Now, my grandparents were Democrats. You guys know this, but they didn't know they weren't Democrats. They'd been trained to be that way for so long. The Democrats had given so much. And I don't want to go through the history of it, but they were conservatives true and true. Or through and through. That's what I should have said, through and through. But they were conservatives. And I noticed that. So here's the thing. And I know this is why my grandmother used to get after me when I would tell her, I'd go, you guys are not Democrats. At a young age, at 13 years old, I was like, we're not Democrats. Yeah, we are, boy, be quiet. And my grandfather would chime in, be quiet. They would only scold me, but they would never threaten to whip me or anything like that. But they didn't like that I could see that they weren't that way. And it just dawned on me, it's the same problem leftists have today. They're mad for being wrong. They really are. Think about, you've been, you tell your kids, don't chew with your mouth open. Stop chewing with your mouth open. Or don't talk when you got food in your mouth. And then you're eating food and something comes up and you're talking with food and your son goes, hey, you got food in your mouth and you're talking, Daddy. You're like, shut up, boy. Well, what? Do the rules not apply to you? Why do you say that? Why do your child says, you tell your kid, don't curse. And then you curse and your kid, Daddy, you just cursed. Yeah, well, there's nothing for you to say. Except, yeah, Daddy got it wrong. Daddy shouldn't have done that. But you get upset because you've been caught. You've been caught doing something wrong. See, we've been telling these leftists for a long time, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. Here's what I would say to them. What do you do when you're so wrong? I'm talking about they are so blatantly wrong, they are angry at us. They want to set the rules. You should be good citizens. You should, don't womanize on the ladies and be kind to women and gentle to kids. And, Hollywood is a great place. And, get that education and all this. And then okay, great. So there are a set of rules of society that we should follow, right? Love thy neighbor, do unto others, blah, blah, blah. And then what do? They violate every rule. And when you go, wait a minute, wait, look at Conyers, look at Al Franken, look at Weinstein and Kevin Spacey, and you call them out. See, you've proven just how duplicitous they are, how disingenuous they are, frankly, how stupid they are. See, it's one thing for you to say it. Y'all are stupid. Y'all want Barack Obama as president. Y'all are stupid. And they're like, you don't even know. Shut up, Kevin. You're not so smart yourself. He's the smartest man ever. And then what does he do? Barack Obama goes out and proves you right that he is stupid, nuttier than squirrel turds. And see, that's what you did. You called him out, and then he validated it. We told him the best president ever is a putz. They didn't believe us. Deep down, they knew we were right. They fought to stop the truth from coming out, folks. You want to know how they did it? You want to know how I can prove to you that they fought the truth from coming out about Barack Obama? After his first term, they elected him again. He had given them plenty of evidence to say, don't do it. Well, if I can't get the budget down after my first term, that should be the end of it. Well, it should have been the end of it. What did Barack Obama do that would make you go, woohoo, he was amazing. After his first term, but you know what their rationale was? Well, he just haven't had enough time, man. Y'all got to give the brother some time. And white folks enablers are like, it'd probably be really good if we gave more time and let these policies kick in and things, and then we'd have a real barometer. No, you had your barometer. You knew exactly what was going to happen. You knew because we told you. And we gave you ample evidence. And you know what they said? You're a racist. You just don't want him to succeed. So what? His policies aren't working right now. If he gets more time, they'll work. Well, he's gotten more time. How's your Obamacare working out for you, huh? He's gotten everything he asked for. And it failed. And then you know what we went and did that really got him going? This really, peeved him off. We got Donald Trump elected. We elected a competent dude. See, if we had elected a knucklehead, somebody who was going to let the media dictate what they do and not really work on policy, not keep their promises, they'd be, yeah, look at that Carly Fiorina. Yeah, how's she working out for you there, conservatives? And Carly would be shifting to the left. She'd be Hillary Clinton on steroids. And I'm just picking on her, but it could have been any of them. They would have been succumbing to the media juggernaut, the onslaught. Even the good guys, Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, others would have been like, wow, can't do anything right. But you know what Trump does? I don't care. And you know what else he's doing? He's effective. He shows you the difference between leadership and pikers. And what Trump did to get those guys back from overseas was a big deal. I hope he gets this other black cat that's over there. You know who I'm talking about, the football player? Stuck over there on a technicality. I hope he gets him back too. Everything they say about Trump blows up in their faces. And they're mad at you. Mad for being wrong. And you want to let them slide? Are you crazy? Get in their faces. Don't let them slide.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
At this time, I think that he should step down.
Meeks' stance is different from what James Clyburn had to say to the New York Times. He says he's not sure that these claims against Conyers have, quote, any real substance. And he says, quote, you can't jump to conclusions with these types of things. For all I know, all of this could be made up. Reverend, what do you think accounts for the discrepancy here? Why are you on a different, you and Congressman Meeks on a different page from Jim Clyburn?
I think that the page that we're on is saying in terms of the sensitivity of the Judiciary Committee. I think that what Congressman Clyburn is saying is that we could find out that some of this is not accurate. We're not dealing here with a situation that he does not deserve the right to defend himself and that he is not deserving the right. When you look at the fact, Casey, on the second accuser, that they withdrew their complaint, well, that has to be looked into. Well, why did they come with their complaint? You can't write one news story, have an accuser, and all of a sudden that becomes the fact, because then everyone could be subjected to that. So I think that is what Congressman Clyburn is saying, but I think what Meeks has raised to some of us is the fact that the Judiciary Committee, where he'd have to hear and conduct as ranking member, looks into other situations, that could be reason for him to step aside from that position until this is cleared up, not from his congressional duties.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. That was Reverend Al Sharpton, Reverend, who is now commenting on this, and he's trying to give clarity to black speak. See, Black Man Meeks, member of the Congressional Black Circus, a circus clown, he says, hey, we need to wait and see all that. We don't know what's going on. Nobody knows what's happening. Now, he didn't say that with Donald Trump. He's one of the guys out there going impeach. He's one of the guys out there saying Trump is grabbing women by the and now it's so funny to watch him. They backtrack. That's the con game. Clyburn is saying, hey, look, he can step down from the Judiciary Committee, but he doesn't have to leave Congress. Why should he have to leave Congress just because he's molesting a bunch of women? Black women, too. I'm just saying, you're watching this, folks. You're watching the con game play out. It's to me, it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch. What did Pelosi say on John Conyers? Did you check that out?
You said there's now a zero tolerance.
Yes.
John Conyers, what does that mean for him now?
Let's say
in or out?
We are strengthened by due process. Mm-hmm. Just because someone is accused, and was it one accusation? Is it two? I think there has to be. John Conyers is an icon in our country. He has done a great deal to protect women, Violence Against Women Act, which the right wing is now quoting me as praising him for his work on that, and he did great work on that. But the fact is, as John reviews his case, which he knows, which I don't, I believe he will do. I believe that he will. Excuse me, may I finish my sentence? Sure. That he will do the right thing.
And is the right thing what? Resign?
He will do the right thing in terms of what he knows about his situation, that he's entitled to due process, but women are entitled to due process as well.
But he got it. He took advantage of a situation where he had the rules of Congress, and I know you guys want to change these rules, but he got to hide his settlement. He got to, his accusers had to go through all sorts of craziness. So why is he entitled to new due process in this case?
No, we are talking about what we have heard. I've asked the Ethics Committee to review that. Yeah. He has said he'd be open. It will cooperate with any review. Excuse me?
Do you believe John Conyers is accused?
I don't know who they are. Do you? They have not really come forward. And that gets
so you don't know if you believe the accusations?
That's for the Ethics Committee to review. But I believe he understands what is at stake here, and he will do the right thing.
Welcome back, everybody. Wow. What do I need to say about this? Jake Tapper says, Conyers, in or out? We are strengthened by the process. That's what she said. In or out? You have Jake Tapper says, you have a zero tolerance policy against sexual harassment in Congress. By the way, that's the same principle that applies in the in a private service. Why is it in public service when you are held to a standard zero tolerance? Then it's equivocate. Oh, well, we're not really. We need to know all the evidence. They don't need to know all the evidence when it comes to conservatives. Did Nancy Pelosi say of Judge Roy Moore, we need to wait? We need to know everything that's going on. They took the word of people that supposedly are 30, 40 year ago situations. Now we're finding out these people are the biggest liars on the planet. Where's Gloria Holred? Hey, Gloria, where's that high school yearbook that was going to be the evidence? that had the identical signature of Judge Roy Moore, D.A., which was his assistant, not district attorney, and it was identical to what he'd signed in her divorce papers. Where's that at? Now we got problems. Yeah. See, that's the left. The rules, when it comes to them, they don't apply. They only apply to you. I jokingly said earlier that when the left, and I talked about this with school, with education and entertainment. So what Harvey Weinstein molests women and rapes them and sexually abuses them? So what Kevin Spacey does it? So what Charlie Sheen does it? All these hardcore leftists. So what Al Franken does it? So what? So leftist politicos. So what college professors knowingly tell you that we're going to do this? They're vile human beings, but you do it and you're in the spotlight. And the minute you go, well, wait a minute, what about Weinstein? What about the rules over there? Well, how dare you? How dare you try to deflect? So here's Nancy Pelosi. By the way, leftist CNN media is saying, what are you talking about? And what's funny, she brings up, well, the Republicans, they touted my Violence Against Women Act and that Conyers was one of the people that voted for it. Congratulations. It's exactly what I told you, and I've told you 1,000 times, if not 1,000 more. The left will tell you what they're doing by the things that they claim are helping those that they're doing it to. Let's pass the Violence Against Women Act, knowing that we are perpetrating violence against women, because that gives us cover. Well, you do know John Conyers voted for the Violence Against Women's Act. Yeah, as he was what? Violating women. Bill Clinton, ask any feminist. Bill Clinton's an amazing man. He's helped feminism. He's the cause of feminism. Bill Clinton has raped, has gotten away with more. There are people in prison. There are entire cell blocks who are in prison who have raped fewer women than Bill Clinton. Let me tell you something, folks. You only know the ones you know. How many of these women that Bill Clinton, in his position of power, how many lives did he ruin? Women who would not dare come forward, or who, because of what their situation is, became drug addicts or whatever, just completely tuned out of life. How many? How many do you think happened to Weinstein? How many actresses do you think you don't know because of Weinstein? Because they said, holy crap, this is what I have to put up with. And now they're in rehab, or they're on drugs, or, in terrible relationships. They don't care. You think the left gives a crap about those women? Well, we're hoping he'll do the right thing, is what Nancy Pelosi said of Conyers. Since when? Bill Clinton was, backed in the corner. He was a trapped animal while he wagged his finger and told us he hadn't done it. He did an interview with his wife prior to running for election. Do you remember the one where the lamp almost hit Hillary? Because God was trying to strike him down. And Bill Clinton said these women are lying about affairs with him. He said he hadn't had extramarital affairs. He was lying through his teeth. Do you think they cared? Just go look at that video. Look at the date stamp on it. It was prior to Bill Clinton being interviewed by Barbara Walters, I believe, or one of the 60 Minutes ladies, and he says point blank, these people just lied. And Hillary was like, well, you have to understand the motivation of these. Crash! And the light almost hit her. Jesus, Mary, John, and Joseph. She gets up running. They're lying scoundrels to their core. And don't you believe a word that comes out of their mouths. Do the right thing. Oh, he knows about his situation, says Pelosi. Yeah, the guy, then Tapper comes back and says, wait a minute, he hid his settlement. How do you hide your settlement? And then make it to where the accusers can't say a word. Uses taxpayer money to hide a settlement, says the accusers can't defend themselves because one of them got a $27,000 thing. And she said, well, the ethics committee will work on that. And Sharpton cracks me up. He's talking about, well, we got to let all this, everything they talk about, folks, is who shot John. It's subterfuge to make you not want to think about what's really going on with them. lying, lecherous people to their core is what they are. Every single one of them. Providing cover where they wouldn't do it if it were conservative.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here, author of Race Pimping, the multi-trillion-dollar business of liberalism. And let me tell you, you're watching liberalism unfold in ways that I don't think most people would have predicted. If Donald Trump did inherit a mess from Barack Obama, and he certainly did, one of the biggest messes he inherited was the crime rate. I talked earlier about the con game. And I quoted Thomas Sowell, who said, the welfare state is the oldest con game in the world. First, you take people's money quietly, then you give it back to them flamboyantly. And let me tell you, all that money that's been taken from you quietly and given back flamboyantly, and the part that they kept, what's it doing? Is it solving the nation's problems? I've said you could solve problems very easily. I mentioned the professors molesting kids. Here's a good example. If you were to put out an edict at every college and university that says, if you engage in any type of sexual relationship with a student, you are fired from the university and you will lose tenure. You can't even protect the tenured professor. If you are a student who engages in any type of malfeasance with a professor, you will be dismissed from the school and still be required to pay whatever funds and things that you've been given. What do you think would happen? I think students would see their professors a little differently and professors would see the students a little differently. Why doesn't academia do this? And why wouldn't you do it when somebody has the kind of power that they have over your child's future? Couldn't they be compelled to? I mean, if you were a lecherous professor and said, I think you're a hot little co-ed, and the only way you're going to get out of my class with a grade that you want is by, letting me grab you by the whatevers, then, I mean, if I have that kind of power over you and I have tenure, do you think I might occasionally use it? But what if I knew that it could ruin my career? There you go. But do they implement these kind of rules? And if they are they enforced? I talked about a couple of movies. So how do you get away with murder? The woman, the attorney, and the whole premise of the story is based on her husband does nothing except have sex with co-eds. And she's a high-powered black female attorney. Probably a feminist. And she doesn't say a word. I talked about, maybe I did, I don't know if I did or not, but the scene in The Godfather where the movie producer says, there's no way that so-and-so gets that role. And he ends up with a horse head in his on his bed. The guy bragged openly, I groomed this girl. We spent millions of dollars on her, and she was a great piece of you-know-what. And I should know. I've had it all over the world. He admits in Hollywood, that's what we do. And Francis Ford Coppola puts it in the film. The people that made the movie that got Viola Davis an Emmy or whatever she won, put it in the film, put it in the TV show. Yeah, so what professors, 50-year-old men are having sex with 18-year-old girls. Who cares? They care when it's Judge Roy Moore. Anyway, that's not what I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about the con job of solving crime in the black community, of helping people. 38 days left in the year when I was reading this article. The murder count of St. Louis reached 188, the same number for all of 2016. So they got a month and something left, and they're going to hurdle past the number of killings in St. Louis. Now, Chicago's murder rate's going down. We'll talk about that in just a second. But they've jumped the murder rate in St. Louis, and it's a very simple reason as to why. They ushered in lawlessness under Barack Obama. The recent violence, they say, has kept detectives busy. Adolphus Pruitt, president of the St. Louis NAACP, said the homicide rate crisis is alarming. Looks like we're going to exceed the numbers from last year, Pruitt said. It's extremely troubling. 3 reported homicides on Thanksgiving pushed the city's murder rate to 188. I want to put this in perspective. The city of St. Louis has 318, give or take, 1,000 people. And they have 188 murders. The city of Chicago has what? 6, 7, 8 million people. And they have 629 murders. So the city of Chicago is 20 times the size the city of St. Louis. And the city of St. Louis has, so let me put this in perspective. Let's just round it up to 200. That means that at the rate that the population of Chicago, the city of St. Louis would have 4,000 murders. So forget Chicago, and it's bad enough. Look at St. Louis. Look at what happens when you let a president who comes into there and says, hey, black people, it's a free-for-all. You don't need to worry about the police. You guys remember in Ferguson when the police watched as looters broke into a liquor store and looted it and did nothing, stood by and watched? My goodness. Here's what's interesting about Chicago's weekend murder rates. So these are actual stories. 3 headlines when I looked this up. Sunday night, we didn't get to it till today, but that's okay. CBS Chicago, 5 dead. CBS Chicago, 5 dead, 24 wounded. WLS TV, 6 dead, 30 wounded. Before either of those had even reported their 5 and 6 dead, NBC Chicago reported 7 dead, 36 wounded. They can't even get it right themselves. One says 5 dead, the other says 6 dead, the other says 7 dead. One says 24 wounded, the other says 30 wounded, and the other says 36 wounded. Which is it? So here's the actual numbers from a site called, well, I won't worry about the site. 629 homicides in Chicago. A person is shot in Chicago every 2 hours and 23 minutes. A person is murdered in Chicago every 12 hours and 35 minutes. Now, here's what happened with NBC, and they talked about the 7 dead. And I want to just have you focus for a second on the people. So I'm going to give you a little story about them, and I want you to look at the commonality between these people as you contemplate that every 2 hours, give or take, 2 hours and 30 minutes, just say 2 hours, somebody gets shot in Chicago. And every 12 hours, twice a day, somebody is killed. Now, here's what the article says. A second deadly shooting happened just before 1:30 a.m. Friday. A 27-year-old man was shot and killed during an attempted robbery in the 7500 block of St. Lawrence. The man, who was sitting in a car, refused to cooperate when a man demanded money from him. He was shot under the left armpit, later pronounced dead. So a guy gets robbed. Now, they're not going to tell you that it was a black guy being killed by another black guy. But if you know where the area is that we're talking about, that's what it was. Hours later, I'm giving you some hints. 22-year-old man was fatally shot in the 10,000 block of South Avenue M. Few details have been released on what happened, but police say the man was shot in his body, was treated at the scene in critical condition, got pronounced dead. All right? Just after 5 p.m. Friday, a 23-year-old man was shot and killed while standing in the 1500 block of South Ridgeway. Police said the man was standing on the block when another man walked up to him and shot him in the head. He was taken to Mount Sinai Hospital and pronounced dead. Do I really need to break out the ethnicity of these fellas? About 3 hours later, a 22-year-old man was shot multiple times in the 6400 block of South Calumet. He was pronounced dead at Northwestern Hospital. Another fatality occurred on Sunday morning in a 200 block of North Lockwood, according to police. An 18-year-old man was killed when another man walked up to him and shot him multiple times. He was later pronounced dead at Loretto Hospital. You see the commonality? Did you guys catch it? Did you catch it? Yeah. Well, okay. You don't know the area, so you probably don't know that it was mostly going to be South and East Chicago. Okay, I get that. But what do you think? Did you catch what? Okay, they're all roughly the same age. 18-year-old guy, 22-year-old guy, 23-year-old guy, 22-year-old guy, 27-year-old guy, 24-year-old guy. Gunned down. People walking up to them, pow, shooting them multiple times, whatever. And outside of the robbery, which, what could the guy have had that the so-called brother, he's going to I ain't going to mess with my other brother. What could he have had on him that was worth his life? Now, here's what I would say to the guy who got shot. Give it up. Just look. Okay, man, look. Let me get my wallet. Here it is. Take it. I don't want to know who you are. Go with God. Have a happy Christmas. But he shouldn't have to, should he? Black guys killing black guys, young black guys killing black guys, and the left wants you to believe, don't profile.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Not one to rub it in on the Kevin Jackson Show. But we've been talking about the NFL. We've warned them. We told them nothing's going to change. And you know what's funny? When you go to look for the NFL ratings now, they're at least a week behind, sometimes 2 weeks. It's almost like they don't want to tell you that things are going bad in the NFL. It's horrible. Man. I was I'm on a site called Sports Media Watch, and they every week it's zoop doop doop doop. They keep it going, and I'm going to give you some quick stats here, going all the way back to week 1, and share this stuff with you. So it's a graphical depiction, and it's either red or green, and it goes all the way back to week 1, and it tells you how they did year over year. So the first, I'm not going to do. They had preseason ratings, and that stunk. But here's week 1 ratings of the, let me see. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. I think it's almost 7 games because they have the Thursday night game, etc. But going back, including Sunday Night Football, week 1, every game was down except the Giants in Dallas, which was up 2% and 6%. They have 2 columns. I'd say the average percentage down was something like 15%. And I'm just guessing there. All right. Week 2 in red-green, they had, it was even 3-3. The positives were up approximately 7% across the board. The negatives were down approximately 12% across the board. But let's just say it was a break-even week for week 2. All right? So let's go to week 3. Scrolled up too far there. Okay. Get it right. Hurry up. Okay, week 3, even. They had good positives. They had Thursday Night Football was up 38%. The Monday Night Football game, Dallas and Arizona, was 67%. So that saved them. But there were 3 games positive, 3 games negative in week 3. And that was when the cake hit the fan. That was when the Dallas Cowboys had the Monday night game, and Jones, had the team take a knee and everybody stand for the anthem. The average loss, by the way, was still about 12% that week. Okay, week 4, of the 7 games that were played, only 2 were positive. It held steady, down again. Now keep in mind, this is down from the week of the previous year, but the games were down average again of about 12 to 15%. And there were 2 positive games. Dallas again was the biggest positive game, 22%. The other positive game was up 4. Now, week 5, 7 games. They had, 6 games that week. 3 were positive, 3 were negative. Nothing new to report there. Now we get into week 6. 1 game even, 3 games negative, 2 games positive. Week 7, 4-3. Week 8, they did not have a single game that was positive in week 8, including Dallas. All right. Week 9, 3 games positive, 3 games negative, 2 positive, 1 even. Week 10, not a single game positive. And the percentage is now going up. It's probably an average of 17% negative. And then week 11, 4 games negative, 2 games positive, and they don't have week 12 up. So here's the net of it is this. It's getting to the point of embarrassment for the NFL. They don't even want to report this stuff. Thanksgiving Day numbers, horrible. Horrible. It was, all I can tell you is if Roger Goodell and the NFL owners had any smarts about them, they'd be looking at this and saying, you know what? We got to do something. But here's what I love about this. What I love about this is President Trump made this an issue. This is one of these these little things that people talk, oh, he shouldn't be chiming in on the little things like that. It's not little. And you're seeing it play out week after week after week. Let me put it a different way. Think of these football figures as polling numbers. These are polling numbers where people want you to believe that Donald Trump's not popular, that his tweets don't matter, or whatever else. These are polling numbers. And as you watch these numbers continue to slide week after week, and the stadium's empty, ask yourself this. If Donald Trump did an event in any of these NFL cities, do you think he would be able to get 15, 20, 25, 30,000 people to come see him? What do you think? The short answer is, of course he would. Donald Trump in any one of these NFL cities can draw more people to see him than the football team can draw. Remember them telling us, please, that ability, that doesn't mean anything. I'll ask the question this way. If Donald Trump came to your town, would you consider going to see him? Now, if you're like most of the conservatives that I asked that type of a question of, they say, yeah. Look at the polling. I'm talking about impromptu polls. Black Lives Matter did a poll about Donald Trump's performance and got shocked when people said, we like him. Let me ask you this. In the wake of Donald Trump freeing these 3 black guys from China, and the lie of the media, the outrage over LeVar Ball, who, the father of one of the sons who's just a train wreck, what do you think's happening in the black community, and what do you think's happening to leftists at large when they say Donald Trump frees 3 black guys from China and he can't catch a break, and even the father of one of the sons who was freed, so his son could spend Thanksgiving at home and whatever other holidays, he can't even muster up enough to say thank you. What do you think happens to the left when they see that? You think they remain, oh, that LeVar Ball, he was right, man. That's just what he should have done. Yeah. Of course they get it. They go, wait a minute. No matter what you think about this guy, he brought your kid home and you can't be grateful for that? Even before Thanksgiving, you can't muster up a, you know what? Think what you want about President Trump. That was a really great thing that he did. I want to thank him personally. I don't agree with his policies, but you know what? There were many other alternatives, and he did it right. That's all he had to say. That's not an endorsement of Donald Trump, even though, quite frankly, there's no reason not to endorse him. But that's the left, folks. Lots to talk about. Back in a bit.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. So, the Donald Trump economy has removed, I think it's like 1.5 million off the welfare rolls. People going back to work. He's created good jobs. Stock market booming. Companies coming back to America. Some who are planning on leaving, staying. Hiring people. Research and development. Good jobs. The jobs that Americans want. All this is going on right now. We are in the midst of the biggest crap of, it's just so much nonsense being discussed by the left, the media. Russiagate. Where's Russiagate? Mueller's going to get that Donald Trump. Pfft, whatever. Nothing's going to happen to Trump or anybody in his, of significance in his administration because they haven't done anything. But where Mueller is going to lead back, he's going to lead back on himself. The death spiral. It's going to lead back to many, many Democrats. Many of them are going to go down over this. So, and at some point, when people do start focusing on things again and remembering what's been going on, in terms of the economy and all these other things that we're talking about, the things that are important to you, more time with your family, your friends, more free time, vacation time, time for self-reflecting, business is starting, you're in control of yourself, and suddenly there's this independence that's going to come. Then you watch what happens. You're going to get a landslide in 2020. Forget 2018. Rock solid. We're flushing the flakes out. We're flushing out the corkers. We're flushing out some of these other leftists that are disguised as Republicans, aka rhinos. And Steve Bannon's going after them. You're going to get the names and you're going to learn more about them and go after them because you're tuned in. And the midterm elections pretty much always go to the people plugged into politics. The left has nothing to put its base on. In fact, this guy right now, Doug, what's-his-face, that's running against Judge Roy Moore, they say, their thing is he can't motivate, he can't energize the black base. This is a white dude who is pro-abortion, anti-business, pro illegal immigration. He's as left as you can get. And they're going, he can't motivate the base of the blacks. No, he can't. He's got, even with all that they've done to go after Roy Moore in Alabama, they can't get black folks to go, well, let's get on the bandwagon of this guy, Doug, what's his face? And in fact, black people in Alabama care so much about him, I can't remember his name. That's the way they view him. Doug, what's his face? Elizabeth Warren did an interview on national TV and could not remember the man's name. That's how much negative she's got on Roy Moore, but nothing positive to be able to remember the candidate's name. A chance for him to get all kinds of money coming in, etc. You know who's raising money? Roy Moore. Raising money like a madman. Yeah. So what? Look, all I'm telling you is you can be jubilant about all this because it's good news for us. And eventually they're going to have to come back to reality. The reality that they gave us the worst president in history, and the number of homeless people, as an example, living in L.A. on Skid Row is the worst the city has seen since the Great Depression. And that's with Donald Trump rocking this economy. So what he's saying to you is, even when capitalism and the right, conservative voice comes in and starts creating jobs, when you build a cesspool of corruption and ignorance of California, you can't, even Trump can't overcome that. They said this year nearly 2,500 homeless and near homeless men, women, and children were served Thanksgiving lunch on Skid Row in Pasadena and Canoga Park. We haven't seen numbers like this since the Great Depression. Georgia Berkowitz, the director of the Midnight Missions Public Affairs Department, told the LA Times. Now, it would be funny if they could try to blame it on Trump. It's got to be President Trump's this economy. Really, so that record-breaking stock market that's setting records every single day, sometimes multiple records a day, that's it? Maybe it's that record unemployment that President Trump has. Maybe it's the record 1.5 million people that have come off the welfare rolls that Obama put on, of those 16 million that he put on. Maybe it's those reasons. They have nothing. It is so fun to watch this because it couldn't happen to a better state. California is in triage. California is suffering beyond belief, and they will not wake up. The next governor of California is likely to be a guy named Gavin Newsom. He was married to Stephanie Guilfoyle of Fox News for a while. They were California's power couple. And Gavin Newsom couldn't keep it in his pants. He and Stephanie divorced, and he's been a serial, date the hot chick. He's dated Hollywood and people like that. He's a rock star. They want him. He's a Bill Clinton that's polished, that isn't from the hillbilly land of Arkansas. No offense, I love Arkansas. But he's Bill Clinton cityfied, urbanized. I remember when I met Gavin Newsom, it's been 20 years ago I met this guy. And I remember thinking, this is a dude that is so full of himself. I mean, the hair's got to be perfectly combed. The suits are all this. I mean, he is the quintessential empty suit, but looks good in it. Yeah. A guy that could have given Barack Obama a run for his money. But let me tell you something. He won't be able to beat Donald Trump or anybody we put. If anybody decides they want to fight like Trump, Gavin Newsom won't beat him. He's a die-hard leftist. Die-hard. He's got his issues too. Big-time womanizer. Yeah. So we'll see how all that shakes out. But that's where we are. 2,500 homeless people during Thanksgiving, the most they've seen. In 2014, Breitbart News went to Skid Row to deliver Thanksgiving meals to 300 people. They were provided by a group called My Friend's House Foundation and Fair Game Food Truck. But 3,000 now. 3,000. 2,000 people served, 2,500. 2,000 people were served a sit-down meal of turkey with trimmings at the 30th annual Community Thanksgiving Day dinner for San Fernando Valley homeless and low-income families at the Guadalupe Community Center in Canoga Park. The homeless epidemic that has swept LA has become so bad in August that the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors approved a program to pay homeowners up to $75,000 to house homeless people on their own properties. I want you to think about that. They're paying people to set up little tent cities so families can live on other people's property. And it's so bad in LA that people are having to do it. That's a great little second income for them. In January, the Times noted that although the city remains the number one city for homelessness in America, LA leads the nation in the number of unsheltered homeless people. New York City is the number one for homeless. Hard to believe given the climate, right? But LA leads the nation in the number of unsheltered homeless. So look at where the homelessness exists. And then ask yourself, how do they get there? Why is it that these cities lead in homelessness? Well, you know the answer. I don't have to tell you that.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. The Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
I laugh every time I hear the president's critics saying this isn't normal for a president to weigh in on issues like this.
Yeah.
They don't get it. That is why he is president, because
Correct.
he does weigh on. People are tired of normal. That's why they voted for him. They want somebody who will deal with the tough topics. That's why he got elected, and I predict that's why he will get reelected. People like this kind of a president.
Welcome back, everybody. That was Robert Jeffries. I've been in the studio with him. Interesting little fella, and I think he's a pastor, and he is spot on. You like the truthfulness of Donald Trump. You know what else you like? You like the fact that these tweets are not measured. I'm going to tell you what I like about him, and I believe I speak for many of you. You know, if Donald Trump tweeted things where it looked like speech writers wrote it for him, you'd be like, oh, man, that's just propaganda. But Donald Trump will say, you know, guy, free his kid from China. He doesn't even appreciate it. You know, what can you do to please these knuckleheads? You know, bad form. And you're like, that's Trump. That's Trump speak. He's not sugarcoating it. He's not concerned about, oh, they're going to call him a racist if he says this or that, or if he uses the term you people, or whatever. Trump's like, I don't care. You know, if you freed my son from something he'd done bad in a country, I'd be thankful. He looks at it through common sense eyes. And that's the problem for the left, is they don't understand the common sense approach to this. They don't understand the everyman approach to this. There will be a day where somebody will take Donald Trump's tweets, they will put them into some sort of perspective and write a book about them, and maybe it's already happened, and they'll explain this, and they're going to make millions of dollars just saying, here's what Trump tweeted, here was the outcome. Here's what Trump tweeted on this subject, here was the outcome. And in almost every case, the outcome benefits America. It benefits the Trump agenda, which I believe is the American agenda, and it makes sense. And people, like I said, when he tweeted about the NFL players, everybody beating on me, Kevin, how can you appreciate him doing that? That seems like he's down in the weeds on it. Down in the weeds on what? On the fact that you should stand up for the country? That you shouldn't allow that to happen? He's not in the weeds. And I could go tweet by tweet and tell you places where you're going. You know, people are like, man, I just wish you wouldn't be tweeting about the minutia. And I go, what do you mean the minutia? That's a big deal. Comments that he makes are big deal. You know, he's a sane version of Joe Biden, supposedly saying the wrong thing, but getting, you know, tough topics out there. And Robert Jeffries said it best. Where else are you going to discuss the tough topics? Tough topics like immigration. Tough topics like refugee resettlement. Tough topics like trade, tax reform, getting businesses back. Saying to your face, Barack Obama was a horrible president. I had people running for Congress. They contacted me, Kevin, like your help, but here's the thing. If you're going to come, it can't be something about, you can't come in and say anything negative about Barack Obama. And I go, why? Well, he's super popular here. And I would think to myself, you believe that lie? See, that's the thing. You believe he's popular, so you're afraid to say what you want to say. Can you imagine as a politician, somebody saying, look, I'm going to be running for Congress, but I don't want to say that I'm against Obama's agenda because it might offend the people who like Obama. Like some conservative Republican is going to get the vote of the people who like Obama. The only thing you could do, I just want you to understand the level of twisted logic here, folks. The only thing you could and should do is go after Obama, because there's a faction of people who want the truth. They want to know, what do you really think about that moron? And the minute you say it, they're going to go, you validated what I believe and you had the guts to say it. So you get my vote. But what do you do if you're wishy-washy? Well, we're going to talk about blah, 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 blah. What do you think about Obama? I mean, listen, this is not a race for Obama where I'm running against Obama. I'm running against a different opponent. No. So you're going to soft shoe it. Ask me what I think about Obama if I were running for office. I'd say, well, I'll tell you what, let's ask his constituents. Let's go look at the people that believed that they were going to get the most help from Barack Obama, and let's look at them. And I'd go down the litany of things, the fact that more people lost homes under Barack Obama, black folks, than in the history of man. More people, the fewer jobs, iconic black companies sold. No new black millionaire, multimillionaire types were created in the time of Obama. If he's going to help black people, why aren't there factories running, making Proline or hair products in the hood and employing black folks? What happened to the empowerment zones? What happened to the Myras? Are more black people in prison or less? I mean, I could go down the line. How many black-owned businesses are in, quote, black neighborhoods? By the way, why do we still have black neighborhoods if Barack Obama's in power? You would think that the black neighborhoods would be Hollywood. Are they? Or are they still crack-infested armpits, the most dangerous in the world with the worst schools? Now, if you want to know how I feel about Barack Obama, I will tell you he's been a worthless sack of crap. That's what he's been. And if you disagree, then tell me where I went wrong. Tell me what I said that doesn't hold true. So why would you not do that? Because you're going to empower. Oh, Kevin, I could make some people mad. Well, then make them mad. Make them mad. I had a black dude, he writes to me. He says something about Trump's cook or something, a chef, helping people in Puerto Rico. And he says, hey, you gonna say anything about this guy helping the people in Puerto Rico, or are you still just trying to curry favor with Donald Trump? And I wrote the guy back and I said, see, you told me a lot about yourself in that statement. I don't curry favor with anybody. My opinions are my opinions. If you like them, great. If you don't, I don't care. Ask the people that write to me, and many of you write to me, and where we agree, we agree. Where we disagree, I go, hey, appreciate your writing, but I don't really care what you think. And I move on. Had a guy tell me, you shouldn't be talking about this on your radio show, whatever. And I called him out on the radio show and said, I'll talk about whatever I choose. If you don't want to listen, go. And for the record, I don't even know that you left. As far as I'm concerned, right now, I could be talking just to myself. I don't think so, but I could be. And if that's the case, so be it. Until the radio stations, the PDs say to me, Kevin, nobody's no longer listening. People are no longer listening to you. Okay, then I'll go. And I'll buy myself back 7 hours of every single day. Can you imagine? I've been doing this for almost 8 years, 7 hours every single day, almost a third of my life dedicated to this. And I don't know what the audience is. I'll tell you this, it should be exponentially bigger, because I'm going to do a little tooting here. We deliver the goods every day on this program. Some days better than others, but we deliver. There's not a day you can listen to this program and go, man, I don't know, I was a waste of my time. Because it isn't going to happen. It's God-inspired commentary, because I care. So this guy, he says, you're trying to curry favor. You just want white people to think good about you. I don't care what white people think about me. I don't care what black people think about me. If I've proven anything in my life, I don't give a crap what people think about me. Not in the sense of, like, oh, is he a good person? Did I say the right thing to make you feel good about me? I don't care. That's as simple as I can put it. But he does. And so I fired back at him. I said, you know what? That's your problem. Your problem as a black leftist is you care. See, because you can't grow up the way I did and watch the decimation that's occurred in the black community under Democrats and still support them. Well, you're always negative against black people. I'm only negative about the things that impact black. In other words, if black folks were to live their lives the way I would instruct them to live it, we would be the kings of the world. People would be going, "Ooh, man, it's tough to compete against those young black kids." And black people would be CEOs, and we wouldn't be hung up on race. We'd be hiring people based on the content of their character and their ability to do the job. And people would look at blacks and go, "Man, one of these days I want to grow up and be like Kevin." And they'd want their daughters marrying our sons. And I could go on and on. We'd have the lowest crime rate. Businesses would be booming in the black community. There wouldn't even be such a thing. We would have the most thriving communities, and people would be clamoring to be around us. They want to get that inspiration. So where's that happen? So what I'm telling this guy is, I don't know what you want to tell other people, but I sense your weakness. The reason why you won't stand up amongst blacks and say black teenage thugs are the reason that cops are always in our neighborhoods and blah, blah, blah is because you don't have the guts to say it. That's what it takes. It takes somebody who says, "I don't care what you think." So, look at it any way you want. Like I said, I don't really care. But when these guys write to me and act as if I'm some sort of a sellout, it's a joke to me. Robert Jeffries said the right thing, and I've talked about it. I'll talk about it again. In fact, I wanted to get to, we're going to wait. We'll play this next clip. But it has to do with, the people discussing Donald Trump and the left, what type of light they want to put him in. They have to try to demonize this guy as best they can because nothing works. He's a rock star.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
I think this is a question where we have a Republican Party with a serious morality problem right now, and I want to name it. I mean, we've got a party that is saying Neil Gorsuch is one thing. I testified against his nomination. If that was what was able to be compelling to you, Hugh, to let Trump's indiscretions and abuse of power go, fine. We're talking about Roy Moore as pretty much everyone acknowledges that there's credible evidence that he was a child molester. And the reason why Kellyanne Conway and other members of the Republican infrastructure are saying we have to let this man walk into the Senate is so that we can cut taxes on the rich.
Welcome back, everybody. That was some black chick on, what was it? I can't remember the show. But can you believe it? The GOP has a morality problem. Yeah, so does the world, okay? The world has a morality problem. We all do. The question is, who deals with their morality problems? Does the left? I mean, let's think about the leftist, hardcore leftist. Who's got more pictures with Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Barack and Michelle Obama, Harvey Weinstein, or Donald Trump? Name any Republican who's got the morality issues of any of the people that we've talked about on the left, whether we're talking about Weinstein, Kevin Spacey, Al Franken, who, by the way, I don't see his as as big a deal as most people, John Conyers, and Teddy Kennedy. Look, don't even get people opening up the Komodo on the left and what they do. This $17 million we spent on sexual harassment that our taxpayer money went to, there should be no reason on God's green earth we can demand to see who's been paid and for what reasons. And here, I'm going to make you a bet. If we ever get to see that list, you're going to see a long list of Democrats. It's going to shock you. You're going to see some Republicans too, but you're going to see a lot of Democrats. Many more. The left know this. Paul Ryan, who could release the list, he knows it. It isn't because it's going to condemn a bunch of GOPers, which for the record, I don't care. See, that's the difference between us and them. Showcase it. Show it all. I don't care who it ensnares. That's the definition of being a conservative, is that you're saying, doesn't matter to me. Right is right. Show the taxpayers why we had to pay for somebody else's indulgences, for their peccadillos. And I want my money back. But anyway, that's a crazy lady saying the GOP has a problem. Then she goes to the two people where there's not one iota of credible evidence. Donald Trump mentions grabbing women by the you-know-what. She knows that's legit. She knows it. You think she's going to admit that? Of course not. Roy Moore, 35, 40-year-old allegations, and she acts like it's breaking news and he's been sexting with young teenage girls, like, say, an Anthony Weiner. I mean, these people are incredible. I'm going to go on and there was a panel on sexual harassment. Cokie Roberts was in it, and here's what she had to say. And she alludes to this being Conyers. The people ran with it as was Conyers, but it doesn't really say it was him per se. But she's talking about being on the Hill and what happens. Anyway, here's the clip.
And what about Conyers and Franklin?
Right.
Nothing's happened since. What happens to them?
It's not clear that any Democrats so far have said they should resign. You saw Kathleen Rice. Other than that, you haven't seen a lot of them. I'm curious. My question of this whole process is saying it should go to the ethics committee a real thing, or is that just a stalling tactic? And that's what we don't know yet. They've set up a process, but does the process matter? And is the process going to lead? Like, it's hard for me to see the rehab, Conyers thing being anything other than the obvious. We know what happened essentially. So does that lead to a resignation, or does that just lead to a stalling process? And that's what I don't know yet.
And can they weather the storm, right? Because one of these happens, another one happens, and if it just becomes noise, then maybe they can hang on.
And, they are so used to it. I mean, the culture of Capitol Hill for so many decades was men being bad.
So we talk about that. We talk about it weeks and weeks. But does anything really change?
No.
We ask that question. I mean, this seems unprecedented. How many? But do you think people are really talking about it as if things will change?
I mean, I really don't think that the culture we haven't seen some major shift, right? And I would also just point out members policing themselves. They have a very bad track record of it. Whether it's about these kinds of scandals, whether it's about how they use their finances, nobody is saying that they're going to change the whole process with which this is done, that they're going to throw out members if they actually have sexual harassment cases.
But
this is a big problem for them.
The fact that people are willing to be public can change things. I mean, we all talked about for years.
A little bit at a time.
Don't get in the elevator with him, and every female in the press corps knew that, right? Don't get in the elevator with him. Now people are saying it out loud, and I think that does make it.
That is a change.
Don't get in the elevator with him. Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here, KJRadio.com. So the left, they know. They know all the things that they do. It's like I tell you, folks, it's in plain sight. I don't know how much I can school you on the idea that the left hide nothing. They tell you I'm a lecherous person who will take advantage of you in any way that I can. Oh, by the way, have you seen my charity that protects me from being a lecherous person who will take advantage of anything that I can? So if you say I want to take advantage of women and get them on my couch, or sexually abuse them in any way, then, hey, let me introduce you to my charity where I help women of sexual abuse. If you tell me that a guy, is into pedophilia, I'll show you a leftist coach. He's going to be. That's why people are like, it was my son's coach that did it, and they're always surprised. He's a coach, and I go, yeah, but did you check his political ideology? He's a leftist, and so he's at the place where he can indulge himself the most. A person on the right, if I coach kids, it's because I love kids. I want to see them perform, and I want to see their lives change. I want to see them use sports as a metaphor for life and go out and conquer. I don't go be around kids because I have a fetish for kids. That's what leftists do. It's like the guy that would say, yeah, I find myself hanging around the sexual addiction clinic to help the young girls who have sexual addictions. Yeah, really? It's crazy. What are you talking about? That's what they do. And it's in your face. What amazes me, honestly, is how easy it is to spot this stuff. And it doesn't seem like we care. We know what Hollywood does. They make movies about themselves. They even call themselves out in their own little award shows. We watched Seth MacFarlane call out Harvey Weinstein a couple of times in the award shows. At least you no longer have to, being a president, pretend you like Harvey Weinstein. Things like this. He's not the only one. There's many of them. How quickly are they outing each other? Uma Thurman, she finally came out. She alluded over Thanksgiving. Oh, yeah, happy Thanksgiving to everybody except Harvey Weinstein. Is he the only one, Uma? All these leftists, they've been walking around for years with all this weight on their shoulders as they drive their Ferraris and go to their big galas and eat at the fanciest restaurants and wear the nicest clothes and then moralize on you. Not fooling me. And now they're afraid. They're afraid of President Trump. They're afraid of what we've done because, as I said earlier in the broadcast, you've exposed them as liars. So is President Trump. Here's what Ed Henry had to say in an interview on that.
Let's talk about some other names, and that is the fresh blood in the Democrat Party. You may have seen this, The Hill reporting. The new fresh blood names at the top of the list, Bernie Sanders, followed by more new blood. Not ironic. This Joe is Biden, even more new blood, Elizabeth Warren, and then actually a new candidate, Kamala Harris, and then Senator Sherrod Brown. What do you make of this? We've got the graphic up there of all the new blood.
Potential candidates, and this is what Democrats are saying they want.
Democrats keep saying that they've got, Donald Trump on the ropes and Robert Mueller's going to do this and that. And you were just talking about it. They don't really know. They don't really have facts on what's happening in that investigation. And the Democrats are not regenerating their party while they are trying to, press President Trump. They're not coming up with new leaders. They're the same old faces. Go beyond the presidential candidates.
We've heard of Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders. We've heard Nancy Pelosi is still in charge of the House Democrats. Chuck Schumer. They have the same faces.
Is that
not
power, Ed? I mean, you've been in Washington a long time. Is that because when you've got power, you just don't want to relinquish it?
It's the swamp. They want to grasp power. They want to keep it. And look, when I have conversations with senior Democrats in Washington, they say two things. One, they can't stand Donald Trump. That's obvious. They do that in public. But what they say in private that they don't say in public, they think he's going to get reelected because they don't think, senior Democrats, that they have anybody who can take him on and beat him.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. Fear not. The left know they can't beat Donald Trump. They have no candidate in the bullpen that can beat Donald Trump, and there's nobody that's going to emerge. Be comfortable, but be ready to vote.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Our theme for today is the con game. That's the game that gets played on you every single day by politicians of all ilks. The only people who care about you are the true conservative politicians who go to D.C. understanding that they are there temporarily. They're there to do the bidding of the people that they represent. And then they come home. And I would ask you, do you think of the 535 people in Congress and the judges and the other legislators that are out there, how many of those people do you really think fit the bill? That's what they care about, is you. See, the con game is they make you think it's you that they care about while it's you that they are taking advantage of. That's what the left does. And by leftist, I don't care whether you got a D, an R, an I after your name. Doesn't matter. And we finally have sent somebody to D.C., and I'm not all woo-hoo-hoo over Trump. What I will tell you is I understand that his motivation is very simple. I'm going to represent the people of America. End of story. And I applaud him for that. Good for Donald Trump. Representing the people. So let's talk about a few things. We over the holidays and everything that's been going on, we've been remiss, but I want to say congratulations to the people that caught that Houston cop killer. And it should come as no surprise to anybody that, yet again, that cop killer is black. And I also want to say, rest in peace to the Border Patrol agent that was killed, and the circumstances of his death need to be investigated. Because it sounded like he was getting ready to testify against some people that were doing some bad things, drug dealers or maybe Border Patrol agents that were allowing drugs to come over. And suddenly he gets bashed in the head with a bunch of rocks by illegals. Certainly makes me wonder. Anyway, that's the con job. There's another con job I want to tell you about. There's a place called eHealth. You don't have to believe me. You can just go there yourself. They have a thing up, on their main screen, and it says Obamacare on the right, and on the left it says, if you can't afford Obamacare, then come over here for plans that you might be able to afford at 50% off. So they're literally telling you that Obamacare plans are expensive. They're not going to meet your needs. So if you come check this out, you can get half off. Now, see, if they had been honest about that at the beginning, people wouldn't be dealing with Obamacare. For the record, the Obamacare plans suck, and so do the ones that are half off. They don't meet what you were getting prior to Obamacare. I don't know what's going to happen in healthcare, but this is ridiculous. Anyway, that yet again another con job done on us. How many times do we have to revisit the Gruber comments where he says, well, the American people are stupid, and we relied on that. We put things in there that were meant to be confusing, things like that. How about legislation that says everybody needs to be able to understand it at least a 5th grade level? And there are people proposing these types of things. How about legislation that only lets you deal with one thing? You can't have 15 different things and sticking pork in there. How about that? We can solve our problems. The problem is politicians don't want to solve your problems. They tell you that's what they want to do, but they don't. See, there's a lot more money in the disease and treating the disease and curing it. Every one of these things we deal with has a solution. It has a solution that is unequivocally, nobody can argue with your solution. But they do. They find reasons to. The old saying, if there's one lawyer in town, he starves to death. If there are 2 lawyers in town, they thrive. We can't have a political system that says, take the best candidate who's the best at solving problems, and let's put that person in. Let's take away the R's and the D's and the I's. And let's just put the best person in, because there'll be no money in politics. You understand the game of politics? You've got the Republican and Democratic parties who both have organizations that help them put a framework around the party, the DNC and the RNC respectively. And so all of these guys can collect. Individual people can collect money, and the party can collect money itself, and the DNC can collect money. So they got all this money flowing there. And then the DNC says, well, we've got, in RNC, they say, we've got a pecking order of people that we're going to promote. And then you step in as part of the Tea Party community, for example, teapartycommunity.com, and you say, I'm going to upset the apple cart by telling you we're going to go with another candidate that isn't in your system. So then the system goes against you. That's how the game is played, because they're saying, no, you can't go against this system. And that's why they hate Trump. And that's why they hate you for giving him Trump, because you allowed the system to get broken. But that's how it works. And I want you to just consider the money, the orchestration. To give you an example, the RNC, right now, the RNC's got all these different events going on. They call them Lincoln Reagan Day dinners, and they're fundraisers, and they have different fundraisers, and they're regulated by rules. The only thing that sort of makes it legit is they're regulated by when they can collect money and when they can't. But other than that, it's a big boondoggle. We throw money at these people believing that they're going to have a fair system that elects the best candidates, and it doesn't. Unless you are part of the system and you've kissed the ring all the way through, don't try to bring somebody new. Fresh blood, charismatic, good ideas. They don't care about your ideas. Good ideas make them look bad. They care about keeping a two-party system and I don't want more, for the record, but because all we need is a one-party system that elects the best candidate. Bring your ideas. I don't have to agree with them all, but maybe I'll agree with a big percentage of them and you get elected. That's all Donald Trump did. He said, well, fine, you want me to run? I'll run under the R. It's the closest to my political ideology, and all I'm going to do is bring you my ideas. Most of them you'll like, some of them you may not. I don't agree with everything Donald Trump does, policy-wise. It's okay. So that's how he got elected. He upended the apple cart, and good for him. Because without him, somebody who's legitimately interested in representing the people, we'd be in big trouble. I'm going to talk more about Obamacare when we come back. What an embarrassment for Obama and all the minions that support this albatross.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful four-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
I saw this story, and I wasn't sure if they were casting of Misfits for Revenge of the Nerds or if they were casting for Cocoon. But holy mother of Methuselah, the Democrats are the party of rich, old, out-of-touch white people, if there ever was one. Did you see the top list of candidates, Democrat candidates for 2020? Wow. For those of you who don't know who Methuselah is, he's the oldest man that ever lived. And I think the Democrats are trying to get somebody to outlive him. Have you looked at these people? We just had the sexual harassment charges against Conyers. He's 87, almost 88 years old, and he's still harassing women. I mean, look at these people. It's amazing. In the last election cycle, the Republicans had 17 candidates. Most of them were stellar. Now, on the other hand, in the Democrats' rigged election cycle, they offered no viable candidates, and only 2 emerged from the pack of roughly 5? So pressed, I doubt the average American could name even one other Democrat who ran outside of crooked Hillary Clinton or sellout Sanders. Can you? If you're really in tune, you might go Martin O'Malley. But beyond that, you'd go, wait a minute, what's that guy? I can see his face. Yeah, I can see his face. We don't even know. Unbelievable. So in the next election cycle, they're predicting that the Democrats are going to have as many as 30 candidates. 30. Now, we had ridiculed their choices because, one, there was a story about Maxine Waters was going to potentially run. And Waters got asked at she was in New Hampshire, and they asked if she was there to test the water for a run against President Trump in 2020. And she said, laughing, "I'm not running for anything but my own seat. I don't have any presidential aspirations. If the millennials want me to do it, I'd do it, though." So only if the young people want her to run. It's so funny for me to believe that Maxine Waters believes that young white kids would actually ask her to run only if they thought she was James Brown. Get on the hi, yeah. Are you kidding me? Maxine Waters running for president? I love her optimism. Apparently, Democrats think they'll live forever too. How old is Maxine Waters? She's close to 80. So we're talking about 3 years away. She'd be 83. And you know what? Good drugs will do it, I guess. Yeah, you know, here in 2020, Waters will be 82 years old. Now, considering her obvious dementia of being a Democrat, and there are other signs, things aren't going to be any better when she enters octogenaria. Unbelievable, boy. You know, laughably, 82 may be the median age for viable candidates in the Democratic Party, though. I mean, I'm chuckling at this, but the notion is very real that they could have 4 people in their 80s, maybe more, vying for president. And after decades of abuse of the American public, the truth of the matter is the Democrats don't have a farm team. You know, who wants to take on the mantle of beating down a country? The left doesn't seem to trust their youth to carry the torch. And who could blame them? Have you seen their youth? The youths? The Occupy Wall Street crowd? Would you want any of them to be president? Or, I don't know. Who's the leader? Would you want to vote for D. Ray McKesson of the Black Lives Matter movement? You know, he ran for office in, was it Baltimore? Got less than 1.6% of the vote. Wow. And the Democrats were touting him. Does that tell you much about that group, the Black Lives Matter folks? But what if they decide they want to run a black candidate? They've got Cory Booker. And that's it. I know people think Kamala Harris is black. She's not black. She's half Italian and half Indian. Yeah, she's not black. So what about Oprah Winfrey? She's a billionaire. She's a woman. And she's black. And remember, there was a while back she was touted. It was in response to Donald Trump's so-called populism. The fact that the Democrats' political bench is older than Moses' toes. The Democrats were looking far and wide for a challenger to Donald Trump. And they couldn't find anyone young, popular, and qualified in the establishment. So they went outside the Beltway straight to the world of weird. Hollyweird. And these Holly weirdos have egos the size of Alaska. They play politicians. Play a politician in search of a role or a sketch comedy, and bingo, why not run for president for comedy? I was going to get it out there. So, prompted by David Rubenstein, Oprah Winfrey speculated on a presidential run of potential, and she theorized that since Trump didn't have any political experience, she was just as qualified. And if she doesn't want it, well, why not Al Franken? You guys probably don't even remember this. The left wanted Al Franken. They thought he was an up-and-comer. He was of good potential. This was back in February. They reached DEFCON 1 of desperation, touting a junior senator from Minnesota as a possible 2020 candidate against President Trump. Only a year ago, these Democrats trotted out their geriatric dream team, and even as recent as a couple of months ago, they were reloading the clip with Civil War relic bullets of Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, and Elizabeth Warren. And I asked, why didn't they just dig up Teddy Kennedy? KKK Robert Byrd, just for good measure. So months ago when I talked about this, little did I know that the candidates who would still be looking at as the top candidates are the same old retreads. The National Journal declared this: after years of the stunning spotlight in the Senate, Minnesota's junior senator is in the limelight and would be a formidable candidate for Democrats. How pick a name. How could you possibly be enthused about Al Franken? I'm talking about back in February of this year. And then we certainly know what's happened since then. Saturday Night Live in the late 70s, he played himself an idiot in Trading Places. And he remains an idiot. And now he's been exposed for what he is. What is the other reason the National Journal is touting this leftist moroniac? Al Franken isn't the punchline in the Senate anymore. He's emerged as one of the Democrats' most aggressive and effective questioners of President Trump's cabinet nominees. That's what did it. Now he's got street cred, right? And when I say he's got street cred, I'm telling you he's moved up a notch. He's sexually harassing women. That's certain to get him on the ticket, Bill Clinton. I mean, this is amazing to me. The number one candidate for the Democrats in 2020 is a sellout, independent, democratic socialist by the name of Bernie Sanders, who will be, 88 or something if he were to get the nomination? That's who's their number one guy. Pathetic.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you know why the courts are injecting themselves into big American political policy? It's because Democrats can't win. So judges have become activists. They've become legislators. And that's not the role of the courts. And it's because Democrats have no role in running this country, in legislating at scale, because they've lost across the country in every state house and at the federal level.
Well, your point is that the courts are legislating. That's essentially what you're saying.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson. The only way that the left wins is when the courts step in. And I got to tell you, one of the most, probably the least discussed thing that the Donald Trump presidency brings to America is these new federal judges and these district judges that are being appointed. Of course, the Supreme Court judge and getting Gorsuch getting Gorsuch to replace Scalia is a big deal. And let's face it, Donald Trump will probably have one or two others in the next 7 years that he'll have to replace. But Gorsuch was a big deal. But these state and federal judges are huge. They're huge. And the left know this. The longer they keep them out, the better for them. Like this judge that has rescinded the Trump travel order ban. Why does he have that kind of power? How can a judge overrule the president? I mean, we're not talking about the Supreme Court. We're talking about a regular judge that says, no, I'm going to make a determination, And because somebody brought a piece of legislation, can overrule. For all intents and purposes, why don't you just say, I want to sue the president at some level like that, and then have the judge say, yeah, you win the lawsuit and arrest him? I mean, aren't we at that slippery slope? The reason why I'm bringing this up is because it took the courts to pass Obamacare. It couldn't pass on its own. Nobody wanted Obamacare. And you're getting the outcome of it. And as I said a second ago, they're advertising, come get a cheaper version of Obamacare over here. So it may be the, quote, law of the land, and they've already got alternative policies. There's so many workarounds, and there will be more coming. I want to give these numbers, though, because Democrats continue to put lipstick on the pig, and Obamacare, the pig, continues to prove that it's a failure. And leftists beamed not long ago about the signups for Obamacare. At the time, I want to say it was 800,000 people. And they were like, ooh, based on this run rate, we're going to insure a gazillion people, and Obamacare is going to prove itself to be good. I remember watching CNN and the jubilation of, these people celebrating that as much as President Trump wants, Obamacare to fail, look at these numbers. Woohoo! It was like that Popeyes commercial I played the other day. Ooh, girl, you could be get you some Popeyes chicken, girl. They were just beaming over the numbers. And now they're disappointed. But what's funny is how they report their disappointment. They can't tell you that this is nowhere close to the numbers because you would get it. I'm looking at the Hill report at this. The number of people signing up for Obamacare has surged in the first few weeks of open enrollment. Now, this year, and I want to finish, contrary to dire predictions. Now, they're saying it's surged. So what exactly is a surge? A surge being numbers over last year, numbers over the normal period, numbers over the lifetime of Obamacare. What? Numbers over those who have opted out. What's the definition of the surge? We don't know. That's just somebody. It's surge. It's the beginning of open enrollment. Don't you think anybody who's got an ailment, pre-existing condition, whatever, the worst case scenario in healthcare, surged to get it? So that's what happened. They say the spike in signups is good news for supporters of the healthcare law, but I love this. But experts warn the early numbers don't necessarily signify a trend. No kidding? Really? Final enrollment numbers could still be much lower than in the past, they say. So see, the analysts give a warning. These numbers do not mean that it's going to be all good. They say the first Obamacare open enrollment period of the Trump administration has been surprisingly robust despite the uncertainty caused by nearly 10 months of repeal attempts in Congress, rising premiums, and insurer exits. So the premiums continue to go up. People, the insurers continue to leave it, but the left go, but they're still signing up. What do you think all that's happening is the people with the worst conditions now have fewer choices and they surge to get back on. If I had, let's say, some theoretical pre-existing condition or just some major medical health issues that I knew Obamacare was going to benefit me or my family to the tune of, it wouldn't matter if they charged me $3,000 a month, I'd eat it up, in whatever period of time, meet my deductible, and by March, I'm using the Obamacare. I'd do it in a heartbeat. I'd be the first. I'd be waiting for it to come on. Kevin, your premium's gone up from $1,500 to $3,000. No problem. Sign me up. Because I know I'm going to have $150,000 of medical costs. So why not? Get it done. So you get what I'm saying? So if you get all that, that's who's waiting on it. But they're telling you what's wrong with the product right there. Rising premiums and insurer exits. And they say this through the first 18 days, nearly 2.3 million people signed up for insurance coverage through Obamacare exchanges. They said that number has outpaced the same number than under former President Barack Obama. So understand, Obamacare has been the law of the land, and the legislation outpaced the same period under Obama. So in other words, the legislation is supposed to be dyed in the wool, is keeping pace with the numbers of Obama, and actually it's doing better. Or is it? Larry Levitt, a health policy expert at Kaiser Family Foundation, say enrollment is up significantly on a daily basis, but cautioned against drawing conclusions from the early numbers. But there are a lot fewer days in the open enrollment period. So what he's saying there is, if they used to give you 60 days to sign up, and now you only have 30 days to sign up, can you really look at this as outpacing? See, they didn't give you that little tidbit. Yeah. The reason they caution against drawing conclusions, folks, is it's fake news. Open overall enrollment is down. And here's what they say. There are a number of factors that could weigh down enrollment this year. Standard & Poor's earlier this month forecast that enrollment could actually drop by as much as 1.6 million below last year's level of 12.2 million signups, in part due to uncertainty from the administration's actions. So they're planning on a $1.6 million drop, which means it'll be bigger. Trust me. Now, in 2009, here's what the numbers were supposed to be. We reported this at the Black Sphere organization. We were told 31 million people are uninsured in America. They claim to have 8 million signed up. This is in 2009. 700,000 had stopped paying for the insurance out of the 8 million who were signed up when they announced it in April. Now, a video that we showed said that at the 5-year mark of Obamacare, 16 million were insured. So using those numbers, this was in 2013. So using those numbers, Obamacare's lost 3.8 million people. That was before President Trump. Now, using their numbers, this is from a video produced by the left, 35 million remain uninsured. Now, one would think that given how fantastic the left says Obamacare is, that after 7+ years, everybody would be on it. Obama said our policy, the policies would be cheaper, we'd have better health care, and so on and so forth. So how do we measure the damage of Obamacare to the millions who've lost their health care plans? And due to the cost, the millions now who have little to no choice in health care coverage. But see, the left now look for excuses for when Obamacare dies. That's what they're looking for. They blame the shorter open enrollment period, which President Trump cut in half, and it now ends on December the 15th. And even if sign-ups stayed on pace, they would fall well short of the previous years because of the shortened period. Or will they blame the individual mandate ending? Which begs the question, why would you need a mandate for something so good? It's a rhetorical question. Don't worry about answering it. Obamacare is failing, folks, for all the right reasons. The legislation was considered reparations for blacks and a metaphorical win for white leftists. And neither of those wins means a win for America. Obamacare costs more and it delivers less. And like its namesake president, Obamacare will eventually fail, and it will fail dramatically. And it's going to go down in the dung heap of history of things that we never should have tried. And I hope you're not struggling like many families are to find adequate health insurance now.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177 or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. So there's been a slow drip of these sexual abuse stories coming out. It began with Weinstein. And it's funny, I look at Weinstein as like the Russia investigation, where they start off going, there's a whole bunch of bad stuff, and then it turns on the Democrats, and then it slowly just drips and drips and drips and drips and drips, and it's capturing more and more of them. It's like flypaper. They keep flying into it. And so I don't know how many, look at Judge Roy Moore and go, oh, look at him. But then look at the number of leftists that have been caught up in it. Moore and Trump, they keep bringing back Donald Trump, even though nothing's been proven about him, but they bring it up and they try to make it sound so legit. But look at the number of leftists. And it's not just, capturing these guys on women. It's capturing them on pedophilia. Charlie Sheen and Kevin Spacey and many others. Some of them, we don't even know their names, but they're very wealthy people. And they've been getting away with this stuff for years. And the women have known it. The parents of these kids, all the leftist establishment knows exactly what's been going on, and they haven't said a word. Let me tell you this. I'll be very succinct and clear. If you alluded to, like, hey, Kevin, let's let your little boy come on, whatever, and he can get ahead in a Hollywood, if you'll just, let us have our way with him, I would absolutely beat the dog crap out of you. And if anything ever happened to my son in that regard, don't even bother to call the cops. Get my jail cell ready, because I'll take care of business. That would be the end of it. So none of us are willing to sell our children. We're not willing to sell our spouses, or, hey, hon, go get that Hollywood, go get that acting commercial, and I'll just pretend I don't know what Weinstein's asking you to do for you to get it. None of us are that way. We aren't going to sell our souls for $1 or $1 million. So, these people are unbelievable, and it's a slow drip only because they won't expose who the other people are. I was talking earlier in the broadcast about Uma Thurman, who wishes everybody except Harvey Weinstein a happy Thanksgiving. She starred in his film Pulp Fiction and then in Kill Bill in 2003 and 2004. So what we're learning about Uma Thurman is that she was willing to do whatever Weinstein wanted so she could make films. She's a household name. She's a rich woman who now is scorned. She's scorned. She was in that movie with Kim Basinger and Richard Gere. So here's what's so sad about Hollywood. I look at every one of those actresses and I say, you all slept your way to the top. And it's funny because they want to be revered. They want to be looked at as I'm something special. And I go, no, you're not. You're a common, for all intents and purposes, you're a prostitute. You slept your way to the top. And you could, and what's funny is when they all get painted with that brush, maybe the ones who didn't do it will go, I didn't do it. I didn't see my way to the top, but these maybe had, but I didn't. Because see, we don't get them narking on themselves. Now they've got it. They're skating on this issue. Let's just call them all what they are. Until you all start outing each other and protecting your sisterhood, I don't want to hear about your feminist crap. They're all sleeping their way to the top. You see a new girl in a new film, she slept her way to the top. I mean, for all intents and purposes, why don't we go to there's an event in Vegas. It's called the Pimps and, I'll just say prostitutes, but they use a different word. And it's an event that's put on, believe it or not, to honor pimping and prostituting in America. And it's called, something up. Not boots up. What's it called? God, something up, prostitutes down, but they use a different word. No, pimps up, prostitutes down. If you can think what the other word is for prostitutes. I'm not going to say it on the radio. And pimps from all over the country bring their girls to Vegas. That's all the Emmys is. That's all the Tonys are. That's all those Hollywood awards are. Doesn't matter what they are. It might as well be pimps up, prostitutes down. I mean, how would you like to be in a business? Say you're an accountant. You're a female accountant, and everybody at the office goes, "Oh, you know how she got that job." How sick is that? That's what Hollywood represents. So Uma Thurman now wants to come out. I'm so mad. I could just, we talked about it before where she's like, there's more that's going to come out and I'm going to be outing people. Yeah, okay. How many women did Harvey Weinstein mess over while you were stewing on it with your lavish career, going to parties and making tons of money? Household name. By the way, look at Uma Thurman. She's not overly attractive. She's got a nice body. I'll give her that. But she's not overly attractive. I mean, if you look at her long enough, you'll find things about her to like. I did. But the point is, there are many girls that probably are as talented in acting and maybe look as good. And they didn't do what Uma did. Whatever she did to get her movies, Pulp Fiction, Kill Bill 2 times, and all the other things she's done. There you go. Now, I want to talk about Charlie Rose. Because they pulled his awards. And why have these awards when you're going to pull them? Aren't the awards for the craft and not their character? Because 2 journalism schools have taken back their awards that they've given to Charlie Rose because of the accusations of sexual misconduct against him. Arizona State University's Journalism School rescinded the Walter Cronkite Award for Excellence in Journalism. He received it in 2015. University of Kansas took back the William Allen White National Citation, and this was, again, a journalism award. Charlie Rose is supposed to be a journalist, so why take it back? And I asked this question in a post. Said, what is the deal? Why would you do this? He wasn't given the award because he was supposed to be a choir boy. So why do it? Same thing happened to Weinstein. Yeah. So here's what was his article. Weinstein lost another award Thursday as companies and organizations scrambled to distance themselves from the sexual assault allegations rocking Hollywood. The British Film Institute, he had received an award alongside his brother Bob Weinstein in 2002, reported that they took theirs away. Weinstein was stripped of the award due to sexual assault allegations, so BFI took their award away. 3 colleges rescinded their degrees, honorary degrees from Bill Cosby. Fordham University in New York, Marquette University in Wisconsin pulled their degrees. And there was one other, Brown University in Rhode Island. Then the University of Missouri pulled its honorary degrees. So what were the degrees based on? Were they based on Bill Cosby's body of work and comedy? Had the man done anything good where he deserved the awards? You know, it amazes me. And I likened it to a bad parent who gives a kid a toy, and then they use that toy as leverage. Don't make me take away that toy I just gave you for your birthday. And you're going, but it's my toy. How can you take away my toy? You can take away a privilege or something that isn't mine, but you can't take away something you've given me. That's bad parenting. But that's what the left does. They say as long as you are being a stellar citizen in the way that we define it, then fine. Did they research these guys? Did they go do anything to find out more? Did they tell these guys, hey, look, we're going to give you these awards, but now you got to be stellar citizens? See, because we give out awards, and on the right, we say the award is based on your work and you being a person of character. And we're very much more discerning. Look, that's why I tell people all the time, I don't like... if you're going to give me an award, you're giving me the award, warts and all. Now, that doesn't mean I can go out and become a serial killer, but that you're giving it to me saying, Kevin, you're a conservative, and I believe that you understand what the meaning is behind this award. It's not just for you now, it's for you in the future. When I was given a fellowship at the Robert J. Dole Institute of Kansas from the University of Kansas, I took it as, you're not just giving me this for what I do today. You don't want to have to take my name off. You want to be able to say, we were proudly gave this award to Kevin Jackson. And how far do you go back before you take awards back? Should Little League trophies be taken back from Jeffrey Dahmer? He doesn't represent the Little League anymore. So we have these awards, but what's the statute of limitation? And is this some sort of leftist incentive to do the right thing? Maybe these organizations should just lease the awards. See, for leftists, these awards are a religion. But if they believed in a religion, they would live lives that don't necessitate the worship of awards. That's going to do it for me today.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.